Hey everybody, welcome back to the Good Life Bookstore. It is your boy Good Life Russ.
Hey, I am Chloe Simone, and we are here with a mother, an author, a podcaster, a future seamstress. We are here with a homeschooler. We are here with a spiritual guider, Queen Modest. Please tell us a little bit about yourself and let's get into this.
Yes, ma'am. I love that intro, by the way. A future seamstress. You better speak it, honey.
Yes.
Well, listeners, my name is Queen Modest. I'm an author, an educator, a mother, a healing advocate, and also the founder of Queendom Heals. Um, at my core, I'm a storyteller. I write about the conversations many people are truly afraid to speak out loud, um, such as motherhood, grief, healing, generational cycles,
Mhm.
fatherhood, the uncomfortableness of it, and the trauma. Also, what it truly means to rebuild yourself after life has broken you, right? As a
Mhm.
mother of eight, including my baby who's an angel, my journey has been filled with both incredible love and unimaginable loss. Those experiences taught me that healing doesn't begin when the pain disappears. It begins when we find the courage to the truth and what we've survived. Through all of my books, my podcast, as you mentioned, and my platform, my main mission is to help people feel seen, heard, understood, and less alone. Um, I believe storytelling is one of the most powerful forms of healing because sometimes the very thing that saved you becomes the thing that helps save everyone else.
Mm. All
Thanks
right.
for the
Well, thanks for coming,
dissertation.
everyone.
Right, thanks for the essay. Wonderful. So where I like to jump in, I don't really believe in beginnings or ends, but we're gonna try to find a beginning. So give
Okay.
us some background to your childhood as it pertains to books. Were you a heavy reader? Was reading encouraged? What was your relationship with books as a child?
As a child, I was definitely a heavy reader, like to the point where I could read like books in one day, right? Like, or I will read right before I go to work or right before, like in my breaks. I was a huge reader. Yes. I loved urban fiction for the most part, but I also read a lot of healing books as well. Like The Purpose Driven Life was one of my first books. Um, I don't know if y'all ever heard of um what is that? The TD Jakes book called Woman Thou Art Loose. You
Yep.
heard of it before?
I've heard of it. I haven't read it, but yeah, I've heard of it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I read that. Me and my mama actually read it together, and
Mhm.
then so that one really resonated with me as far as just trying to understand who I was as I got older as a woman, right?
Mhm.
The Purpose Driven Life was more so, sorry, I can't think of the author right now, but it was more so, it grounded me as far as learning to just be me in a way and not keep performing, because it's been many times where it was hard for me to sit in who I was, like as far as like the way I spoke and the way that I showed up. I was a huge people pleaser. So when things made folk uncomfortable, I would adjust myself for their comfort, right? Like with
Mhm.
the way I speak, I used to try to cover my accent. I used to try to fit in, with people just to make them want to, accept me. And then the older I got, it wasn't until actually I had children that I actually was like, okay, let me be who I am, and like, okay, this is who you really are, and you need to be authentic with that and quit trying to be everybody else. That's why I was so insecure, because I was trying to be something I wasn't, right?
Mhm.
So But when I began to read, it helped me find myself in a way. And I guess that might have been the purpose of the books, but it truly helped resonate with me as in understand who I like. Okay, well, I'm good at being different, right? It's okay
Hmm.
to be different. You was born this way. You need to just stand in it. So
I love
Mhm.
that.
I hope that
That's
answers the question.
It does. It does.
it
Thank
definitely did.
you.
So you did mention finding yourself, right? And learning to kind of be
Yes, ma'am.
comfortable in your own skin. And I guess what I want to know is did you ever consider that did you consider yourself, I'm sorry, lost? Or did you not know who you were? Or what started that process for you?
Um, for a long time, I was definitely lost. Trying to find myself in a place where I felt like I was raised as the black sheep. And I say that because I was
Mm,
always compared to, my cousins growing up. I've
Mhm.
always had to piggyback off of them growing up. My
Mhm.
childhood wasn't terrible, like my mama, she dope, right? Like everybody that I was raised around, they dope, but they just didn't realize how much stuff they were putting on me, right? Because there was a lot of
mm,
things that when I was younger, I just, as children, we just go with what our parents or what our grandmama and them say, and we just go with the flow, right? But
Right.
then when I started getting older, like I was explaining to Ross, like the older I got, especially after I had children, like a lot of stuff started coming to the forefront once I had
Mhm.
children. And when I started going back over my life as a child, I'm like, there were many cases where I was compared to them a lot. I was put down a lot, and I just went with it because I thought it was the norm. Or
mhm,
when I would bring certain stuff up to my mama, it was responded as, "Oh well, we that's what we do. Just brush it off and go on back." But it really hurt me. Like some of the things y'all said to
mhm,
me weren't okay. It hurt, but
Mhm.
because I was brushed off for so long, I just learned to deal with it. And as I got older, I had to
mhm,
remind myself like that's not what I want to install in my children. So I had to learn to find who I was so that I wouldn't pass down what was put on me to my children. I said, okay, it stops here.
Yeah.
Like, because I
Yeah.
had to remember, like, there was a lot of things that were put on me, but there was a lot of things I put on myself as well through my
mhm,
insecurity and through me just wanting to be seen. But I was searching. And when I was searching, I was reaching out to the wrong crowd. So it put a lot
Mhm.
more time on me than I realized because I was so in the midst of, oh, I got this insecurity, but I want to be seen so bad that I didn't care who seen me, just as long as you see me, right?
Yeah.
And I was searching and just reaching for the wrong people. And
mhm.
once I had children, I'm like, I can't be that person anymore. I have to figure
Yeah.
out who I am. And so when I finally stepped into my identity, that's actually where Queen came from. Um, the name Queen stimulated from my new growth, because
Mm,
my birth name, which I respect, it carried too much trauma. It carried too much pain.
Mhm.
So, but I loved what my name meant because my mama was real big on meanings, right?
Mhm.
So my biological name actually means wisdom and knowledge, right? And
mm,
my middle name means victory of the people. And so
mm,
Oh,
when I
come
looked
on.
up the original, right, and when I looked up the original name, Queen, Queen, it actually means victory of the people and wisdom. And I'm like, oh well, shoot, it's the meaning of my
mhm,
name. So I put the K on purpose to represent my biological name and then represent my growth. Um,
mm,
and then my children's father used to call me Queen growing up, and I used to be like, "Why are you calling me that?" Like it used to make me very uncomfortable. And he was
Mhm.
15, and he's like, "I'm like, what are you? I'm not a queen. What are you talking about?" And he said something that resonated with me to this day. He said, "It's not about you, because he was like, you probably see it as you need a throne and did that, because that's how I seen it. I was like, I ain't running nobody, right? And he said, it's the way that I present myself, it's the way that I carry myself. And when I show up in a room, I demand respect without even realizing it, right? He was like, because when you step into the room, folks automatically get themselves together. Like, you don't realize
Mhm.
it, but people, he was like, I be
Yeah.
watching people automatically go, oh shoot, here she comes. And he's like, it's the way you present yourself, it's the way you carry yourself. He's like, and you don't walk, you glide, you flow. And I'm like, oh,
Mhm.
Yes.
okay. So
I do,
ever
don't
since then, I was afraid of it. And then when I start growing, I was like, I'm gonna use this name, but I'm gonna change the way it's spelled so it can resonate with me. Because I used to spell it Queen, then I tried the Qween, then I tried the KW. I'm like, it's just not fitting. And then
Mhm.
when I finally spelled it the way I spell it now, I'm like, oh, that's it. That's her.
I?
Yep,
Mhm.
that's me. Because
Mhm.
I'm unique, and I needed my name to go with who I was beginning to grow into. So
Mhm.
that's where it came from. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, origin story. I love to hear it. So this
Yes.
is one of my favorite questions because there's no right or wrong answer, but I'm
Mhm.
curious to know where every writer is.
Okay.
So, are there personal stories in your writing? Do you write about people you know? Do you see yourself in the stories? Do you write about specific situations that you've been in? What is your relationship with your writing pertaining to your actual life outside of the story?
Okay. So you threw a whole bunch of questions at me, and let me make sure I'm to answer every single question. So please give
Okay.
me the first one first.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so the first one is, do you write about the people in your life? So are the characters in your stories based on people in your life that you've met, that you've known, or maybe based on you?
My books are now, okay, so I have 5 books out right now, right?
Hmm.
Mhm.
So the backstory to that, all 5 of them books were actually one book.
Okay.
It
Okay.
was supposed to be a biography. It was supposed to be an autobiography about my life, right?
Okay.
Okay.
And when I started writing, it was so big that I'm like, okay, well, maybe if I break this up, because I had so many topics in one book. And I was like, you know what? This is about me, but also a lot of folk can resonate with this. So it started off as an autobiography. Then it started as I wrote The Way to Motherhood. I wrote that a total of 5 times. I
Okay.
rewrote it 5 times completely.
Oof.
And so the first time it was an autobiography. Then the second time I tried to piece everything into short stories. Like,
Hmm.
Okay.
then I tried to break it down as like, well, maybe I just make them into like spoken words where people can just get little nuggets. Mm-mm. And then I tried to put it as like, okay, well, maybe if I just put it into like a helping manual. And I'm like, that doesn't sit well either. So the help of my daughter, actually, she was like, Mom, how about you just break it up? And I'm like, break it up? All of it makes sense to me. Like, in my mind, like, way too much for folk to be reading. You got like 1,000 words. I'm like, 1,000-page book here. You got like a Harry Potter going on. And I'm like, you got great nuggets in there. Focus on one thing at a time. So I'm like, well, shoot. So my daughter was like, well, what are the biggest topics? So the biggest topics that I was talking about was the way to motherhood. And I wanted people to see exactly what mothers carry. And then I also had a topic in there about fathers, but I wanted everybody to see the different roles that fathers play.
Mhm.
And then I had on there how mothers and just women in general are judged, especially in the melanin community. And
Mhm.
so my daughter was like, well, that's it. And I said, what? She was like, break it up like that and talk about those. And so that's where the way to motherhood, DNA doesn't make you a father, judged, came from. And then rooted in strength, I was speaking on the melanin community. So that book is just about melanin women and our struggles in the melanin community alone. And that story resonated with me because that was my truth, right? And that was a lot of the things that I was struggling with as a melanin woman in America. So I'm like, well, this can resonate with a lot of women, melanin women in America, that we don't speak out loud about. And so
Mhm.
after I broke it up like that, this is the fifth time I wrote it. I turned it into a helping manual, as far as like I created my own genre. So my books are actually non-fictional, informational healing pieces. And so what
Okay.
that means is when you read it, it's not necessarily a character with names like, hey, this is Lisa, this is Tasha, this is Jack. This It's really like when you read it, it's talking to you as a person. Like we're sitting down having a conversation like this. That's how you read the books. And then it'll break down into stories of, to answer your question, Ross, of people that I've actually spoken with that let me put their stories in my books.
Mm.
Hmm.
Okay, so it is intentional and it is personal. I
It
love
is.
that.
And then
I
it got,
I, I
it
have
has
books like that too. I
questionnaires
love that.
after each chapter of all of my books. You have questionnaires where you can sit down with yourself to
Mm.
resonate, because I always, the core of my book is to learn how to heal in private. You don't have to heal out loud, because in a world that's full of social media and full of microwavable things, some people just need time to just sit back with themselves and resonate with themselves. So that's what my books are. It's about healing on your own time, but making sure that you do sit down and resonate with certain questions that you're afraid to ask yourself. So, and those are about.
Well, you answered all my questions in one swoop. Thank you. That was beautiful. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Well, I
Answered all the
know.
questions?
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
everything. You are good on camera, but we'll talk
Yeah,
about that
very
another
good.
time. We'll talk about that another time.
My
Okay,
goodness.
right. Okay, we're doing this. Here we
Not you're right.
go. Okay.
Oh my goodness. Well, I know one thing that we definitely all connected on was the subject of grief,
Mhm.
and the importance of having to transition through that loss and understand that you are a different person after that. It's not about going back to who you were and like when I'm okay again. It's really about growing into this new container that now has to be capable of holding that grief too. We talk often about the Black woman's experience with grief. And I think the first question I want to ask you on this subject is, what were you taught about grief?
Growing up, I wasn't taught about grief.
Mm-hmm.
I was shown that you just move on, right? Just looking at the women in my family, the way they dealt with grief is just moving on. Like I've never seen my mama cry. I've never seen my grandma cry. I've never seen anybody actually, oh, deal with it. So as I got older, that's how I dealt with pain. Like any type of pain, I just moved on. And that as a sorry, and
That's fine.
for a while, I was a robot. Like I was an emotionless robot because that's how I was shown. Um, but again, the moment I had children is when I became my most vulnerable self.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the greatest grief I've had was in '09 when my brother passed.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's when I knew that grief was real, because that's when I finally began to feel it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he wasn't my biological brother or whatever, but he was my brother, right? Like that
Right.
was my brother. I seen him. That's how I seen him, because I was raised
Mm.
as an only child. So that's how I
Mm-hmm.
seen him,
Mm.
and that's how we connected. And we looked so much alike that it threw his dad off. Like, you sure you ain't mad? Like, but to sum it all up, that was the biggest grief for me. And when I finally let that sit, it sat for a while. Like I didn't talk to nobody. I shut myself off.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I finally let it process for me to understand this is what grief feels like. And then when I went to try to question my mama, like, have you ever cried or have you ever, I've never seen you like in an emotional state. And her response was, you'll never see me cry because I have
Mm-hmm.
to keep moving.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know what to say to that. And I'm just like, even though she said she has modeled that. And for a long time, like I said, I thought that was the way to go until grief hit me hard. And I was like, I don't know how to, I can't just keep moving like ain't nothing happened because I'm not okay.
Yeah.
Even though I didn't voice it wasn't okay, I shut down. Right. And then I understood the older I got, even though my mama said she wouldn't never, I wouldn't never see her cry. I've seen her shut down because I've done it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm.
when things start happening to me, I could resonate with how what my mama did, what my grandma did, what my aunt and stuff did. I'm like, they didn't crack, but they shut down. And I
Mm-hmm.
adapted to that. And then
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
after, I had children or whatever, they showed me that it was okay to cry. It was okay to be vulnerable. It was okay to be human. Right. And
Yeah.
they helped me step back into myself where I was like, okay. And then the latest grief we had was this year and last year. Within the last 3 years, I've lost two sons, a father, a grandma, my first love, and two of my best friends. So
Oh,
I'm sorry
these
for.
my
last,
condolences. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
like these last three, and this year alone hit the hardest because out of all of those, we lost five this year in February alone. So
Uh,
it was
Mm-hmm.
like, how are we supposed to? And then my brother cousin died this year too. So
Mm-hmm.
it was like, how are we supposed to, keep moving? And
Right.
my son said something to me that just, it makes me proud that I taught them emotional intelligence because
Mm-hmm.
he said, Mom, he was like, because they know when I'm not okay just by me not saying anything, right? Like we can
Mm-hmm.
be in a crowd full of people and they can see like you ain't okay, like you're not okay. Even when, my relatives and stuff don't see it, they'll be like, Mom, are you okay? Because I've learned to, because of everything that we're dealing with, I've learned to stop performing like in family outings and things. There's been plenty of times I stopped saying, yeah, I want to go. And I just be like, I can't go.
mm.
And not because I don't want to be around them, but because I didn't know where my emotions were going to be. And I didn't want to be the black cloud. I didn't want to, be the funk in a happy environment. But I had to be honest with myself. Like, I'm not happy right now. I'm not okay right now. And I don't want to bring that energy, around anybody. And so long story short, it was one of them things where we missed out on a lot of family stuff just because I wasn't okay. And I thought it was hurting my children for a while. And my son came to me and was like, Mom, it's okay not to be okay. But I love the fact that you're not going to perform anymore. You're finally saying, I
Mm-hmm.
need time for myself.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, we understand that we're not upset at you. We're not mad at you. We're happy that you're finally seeing yourself and not trying to be for everybody else. And when I tell you I cried, because I'm like,
Oh,
I didn't know, how to I'm sorry.
it's
I
so
didn't
good.
know how to not perform for my family, right? I didn't know how to not be okay. I was always looking out for everybody else. And it was like, but who's looking out for me?
Mm-hmm.
And when I actually sat back and asked myself that question, I'm like, my babies. Because
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, they the ones that have a voice for me when I don't even know what to say, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how I began to start processing grief now. I finally came to a point like, I'm not all right. And I have to learn how to, you know, how people say, oh, well, time heals our wounds. It's not that it heals our wounds. It's just we have to learn to live with the new normal
Yeah.
of that
Mhm.
person not being there, or the memories, you know, that we carry with that person. And that's the hardest part, because now we so used to calling the person or texting the person or showing up at that person's door. And when you can't do that anymore, it's like, oh shoot, where do I, you know, put that, you know, grief
Right.
at? Because there's been
Mhm.
plenty of times where
Right.
I would be like, oh, let me call my brother. Even till this day, my brother been gone for almost, what, 15, 16 years. And there's been times, especially when I had children, like, oh, let me call my brother. And then I'd be like, oh, shoot.
Yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
you know, and it's like, dang, even now with the grief, you know, the fresh grief, like my first, he was my safe space. And I could call him and talk to him. And it's only been a couple months. And there's been times I'm like, let me call. Oh, shoot, I can't dang,
Mhm.
you know,
Hmm.
and it's been a lot. And that was actually my daughter's father. So me and her resonate together because we lost a father together.
Mhm.
And
Hmm.
you know, she lost two brothers and I lost two sons. So me and her
Hmm.
understand each other on a different kind of level. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something we talk about too. Like you birth the kids that you need, not the ones that need you.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
yeah, that's heavy. I'm glad you showed up today. We all needed this.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we've both lost siblings too, so we definitely understand.
Yeah, it hurt like crazy. Yeah.
Hmm. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yes,
You know,
yes.
these are really
Question.
deep. These
I
are
keep
really
going
like
on
deeply
and on
rooted
answering your
spaces.
questions. You gotta will me in. Just will me in if you can.
We will do no such thing.
Go off.
All the way. You know, we got time. We free until 6.
Listen, I don't know what the daughter is. I got me out here crying. I didn't think I was gonna need tissues, but honey, give me a tissue, honey.
It ain't working if somebody ain't crying.
You listen. Oh my God. Okay.
Hmm. But
Yeah.
somebody needs to hear that.
Yeah.
Somebody needs to see that. You know,
Mm-hmm.
somebody is feeling the loss that we have felt, and
Mm-hmm.
somebody is being taught, you know, like you said, inadvertently, they're
Yeah.
seeing it. So they're still being taught that
Mm-hmm.
I can't be vulnerable. I can't express how I feel. My
Mm-hmm.
mom and my grandmother weren't crying, they weren't hurt, and they lost. So it's
Mm-hmm.
something wrong with me that I feel like I need to.
And that's what I thought too, because even now, with everything that we that me and my children have lost and that we've been dealing with, because you know, as mothers, Chloe, we don't just have to manage our emotions, but we got to manage our children's emotions at the exact same time, right?
You have
And
an
so,
audience.
yeah, so as a mother, I'm like, yeah, I gotta act like I'm okay. So when my son resonated that with me, you don't have to be okay. You ain't gotta. And so there's just been times where I'll just cry and they'll stop what they're doing and be like, okay, mom's feeling what we supposed to do. What? And it's been times where they'll see me break down and they just start cleaning. They start, start like, or they'll, you need some water, you need some food, what do you need? With like, and I've learned like, okay, they not only have I given them a safe space, but they're learning to give me a safe space too. Like they've learned to give me grace, and it just makes my heart smile. Like I'm doing something right. Like because
Yeah.
as
Mhm.
parents, we'll be like, well, I hope, because sometimes we scream at we yelling at our children more than than anything, and not necessarily yelling like but just like always
They
repeating
don't know
ourselves,
what you're talking about.
repeating ourselves. And it's like I'm repeating. I'm gonna put myself on a recorder and just let it keep going, because that's what I sound like, a recorder. I'm just gonna let it play. And then
Yeah.
when you finally find yourself in a broken place, and when your children show up for you, that's a powerful thing, because it's like we can be human, right? We ain't gotta
Yeah.
keep walking like a robot or act like mommy and daddy ain't got feelings because we feel too, right? We human first
Mhm.
at the end of the day. And it's even them times where now that I'm older, where even as a daughter, I'm still, a daughter, right? I still look at myself as my mother's baby. And there have just been times where I've been so hurt and crying where I just want my mommy, right? Like, I don't want you to
Mhm.
be grandma. I don't need you to be adult time with me. I just want my mom, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I had to learn that even though she wasn't the mommy that I envisioned, like as a fantasy, she was
Right.
still a dope mom, right? And
Mhm.
I had to learn too that the older generation, like that was born in like the 50s, 60s, the 40s, like they weren't taught emotional language. So their emotional language sometimes looked like, okay, you want to go shopping, you want to get something to eat, can we sit down, watch a movie? You
Right.
know what I'm saying? Like, that was their emotional language. Or they'll
Mm-hmm.
sit there and watch you cry, not because they were cruel, but it was just like, you want something to drink? You want me to get you something to eat? Like, you want to get
Yeah.
something? Like, that was their emotional language. Like, and
Mhm.
so after I understood that, I was just like, my mom wasn't being cruel. She just didn't know how to hold space for me in that sense because it made her uncomfortable, right? So
Mhm.
after I learned that, I stopped holding a mini grudge because at times it was like, I just needed you to hold me.
Mhm.
Like I was upset, and then I had to understand, like, you don't understand that language. Okay, well, I'll take what
Mhm.
you get. We can go get some ice cream. We can go shopping. We can, okay, right? We can go listen to some music. We can go on a ride. Okay, so.
Mm-hmm.
I love
Mhm,
that you made that connection because that, flows into something we were talking about off air. Where we were talking about the difference between help and support.
mhm,
And that is why healing is so important because the
mhm,
help is just what people think you need in the moment. The support is what you actually need. But I
mhm.
can't tell you how to support me if I don't know what I'm doing, if I
That's
don't know who
it.
I am, if I don't know what I want.
That's it.
You can't
That's
support
it.
that.
And that's what
So
she
a
would
lot
ask
of
me,
them,
like,
yeah,
she would ask me the question, like, well, what do you want me to do? What do you need me to do? I didn't have the words for it. So it'll be times where I'll just be like, I don't have the words for everything. If you see me crying or if you see that I'm not myself, if anything, I just need a hug. Like, I just need an embrace.
yes,
Just to
Yeah.
know, like, 'cause I don't want you to have the answers for it. I know you're not going to have the answer. And then there's a lot of things that I know as your daughter that I've been through that may hurt you as a mom because you're seeing your daughter in so much pain and you don't have the answers. You want to be the fixer all the time. I don't need you to
hmm
fix me. I just need you to hold space for me and hear me and see me. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I just need you to be my mommy right now. Like, I don't need you to be the educator that you are, the evangelist that you are, all your titles. I just need you to be mommy. Like,
hmm
whatever that looks, I just need you to be mommy. That's it. And so it'll be times, she'll sit there and stare and like be like, oh shoot, but you can see the uncomfortableness, like, because it's
yeah,
like, because you haven't lived my reality, you can't really give somebody advice on a reality you've never had to live, right?
Right.
And it was like she was looking for the words or looking for little cute cliches, and it's like, that's not what I need. I don't need any cute cliches or anything. I just need you to show up the best way you know how. And the
Yeah.
best way she knew how was to just take a ride, play music, or
yeah,
cook me a dinner, right? And I
yeah,
had to accept that, like, okay, she's trying. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's her emotional language. And sometimes we just gotta, like you said, Ross, we just gotta sit with the reality. Like, some people's response may not be the way we wanted it to be, but you can see that they're trying in a way where I want you to be okay. I just trying to learn this new language that you're trying to give me that I never understood.
yes. And we have to remember they're not our struggles alone.
Right.
A lot of us are in this predicament. A lot of people in our generation says they had to parent their parents for
Yeah.
one way or another.
Mhm.
And we were the first to heal. We were the first to leave the nest. We were the first to college. Like we were the first to do these things and decide, I'm about to put this in our family name. I'm
Yeah.
about to bring this abundance towards us. So we were the first that realized the weight, the pressure, the responsibility. But where we were lacking was the outlets, the
Yeah.
healing, these conversations consistently
Yeah.
and transparently. And I have to give us our flowers. Enough times we don't give ourselves credit for what we had to get through to get to this day.
Absolutely. And that's
You
what I talk
know?
about in my podcast. Like, for sure, like this generation may be off the chain, but we're the first generation to ask the questions that needed to be asked, or to go, like you said, through the healing process to heal, not just internally, but out loud. Like, we're we're the generation to finally say, nope, I ain't okay, or nope, I ain't doing that. Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, we are the generation that our ancestors were praying for, in a way.
Yes.
Like I said, even though a lot of times you look outside now and be like, y'all are crazy. But at the same token, it's them having an outlet, and it's like, I can finally say what I needed to say and be okay saying it. Like, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, we have grown a lot. And like you said, Ross, yes, baby, give us our flowers, because
Yes.
we have survived a lot. And for us not to understand the language, but are finally building the language, it says a lot in ourselves, because it's like, okay, we weren't given that free space, but we gonna build it now. We gonna
Hmm.
prove it now. We gonna show it now, because we gonna stop it here to make sure that our children ain't like that. And it's like, a lot of times, since we are raising our children like that, we got to go back and tell our parents and our grandparents, if they're still living, like, hey, don't talk to my child like that, because that's not how I'm
Yep.
doing it. Don't say that to
Yep.
me. The
Mhm.
child is allowed to say what he or she feels. That's not being
Yep.
disrespectful. That's not being, that's just having a voice that we weren't given. And you can't be mad at us for showing our children what we never had, right? And it's like, as adults, even in our 30s and 40s, like, a lot of us are still trying to learn how to find our voice, because we were never taught that. I mean, how many of us heard when we was growing up, every time we tried to talk or show our emotions, it was, shut up, stay in the child place.
Yep.
You ain't got nothing to be upset about. You just a child. You ain't going through that, right? And it's like,
Yep.
but I
And
was.
then
I
when you quiet, they call you shy.
exactly.
You
And
can't
then
win. You couldn't win back then.
older and I don't know how to talk up for myself when something happened and I get quiet and they're like, well, why didn't you say something? Well, I was never given the safe space to say, well, you grown now. Well, just because I'm grown don't mean I'm not that little girl anymore. Still, I'm still
Yes.
trying to figure out. Like, so it's like,
Yes.
you can't win for losing. You get beat in the head either way. So it's like, you heal the way you need to heal. You do for your family what feels right for you, because at the end of the day, you have to live your reality. And can't nobody tell you how to live that. Can't nobody tell you how to, you know, how to model that, because it's your reality. You're living it daily, not them. So
I'm sure.
I think that's such a beautiful mindset to have. You really showcased a lot of grace in the midst of like generational trauma.
mhm.
And then actually, as you were speaking, I had a few like realizations of my own, because we
Mhm.
all have the same childhood, right? We all
Yeah.
live the same life.
Mhm.
But I am realizing that safety meant something different for our parents than it does for us now. Can you speak a little bit about that? What do you think safety meant for your mother? And then what does safety mean for you?
Safety for my mother and the older generation, the women more so,
Mm-hmm.
was the same thing that strong meant. They went hand in hand, and what that looked like
Mm-hmm.
was shut down, don't say anything, or keep moving, keep going, right?
Mm-hmm.
Don't speak about it, keep it to yourself, or that famous phrase we all say, what stays in this house, what goes on in this house stays in this house, right? But it's like, we've been conditioned to say that for so long that
Mm-hmm.
people, we've been walking around with so much hurt that we never realized it hurt us, because it was like, oh, well, we can't speak about it, right? And so I always say strength and safety always went hand in hand. They had to show the same thing for two different meanings. But for safety for us, in today's world, safety means understanding who we are. Safety means being able to not tell everybody my story, because everybody who say they want to know is not looking for you to tell your story. They're just looking for information
Right.
to have ammo on you, right? But it's like now we have come in a space where we can find our people that we can actually sit and be vulnerable with and not feel judged. Because as I look back, my mother and them were judged, not intentionally, but because it was just something, again, in the melanin community that we do. Like when we would say something that made somebody else uncomfortable, instead of them just saying, okay, I hear you, they would get defensive and say, and it's like, sometimes we have to understand, like, when we sit down with somebody and they become vulnerable, and if some of their vulnerability has an attachment to you, it's not necessarily that they're telling you did something wrong. This is just their reality with you. And I say a lot of times that you're not going to like somebody else's perception of you all the time, but that doesn't mean that wasn't their truth at that point, right? That doesn't make you a bad person, doesn't make them a bad person, but we all come in each other's lives during seasons. And sometimes we come up in people's lives in the wrong season, and they don't always have the right response to things. So I had to explain to my mom a few times, like, you were an awesome mom. You were a dope mom. I will never not say that to you. I loved everything you did with me, because you did a lot of stuff with me that a lot of children didn't get. But when I got older and we had our last conversation, and I sat and I actually talked to her and told her, like, Mom, even though you did the best you can do with what you had, there was still some trauma that you put on me that you didn't even realize, right? And when I explained it to her, because at first she's like, well, sometimes you just sound, it's just weird the way you put things and the way that you say things. But when I actually explained it to her, it was a resonate with her, like, oh, okay, I get it now. Oh, okay. Like, for instance, I didn't grow up with, who the guy who made me my donor. I didn't grow up with him. I grew up with a father that I attached myself to because he raised me, but he wasn't my father. He was my uncle, but I call him dad because that's how I looked at him. And that's when I went back to, I was attached to everything that my cousins had, because I looked at them as my brother and sister because their dad was my dad, right? But in everybody else's eyes, it's like, that's your cousin, that's your uncle. But to me, that was my brother, sister, and my dad, because that's the family I built for me. That was my comfort. And
Absolutely.
for forever, it was like people will always point that out to me, and I'm like, I know that. Like, I'm not saying that y'all wrong, but for me, that's was for me. Like, for my brother, like, even though we weren't blood, but me and him called each other brothers. We looked just alike. Like, if we didn't tell you we weren't blood, you wouldn't even know. But people were so key on, oh, well, he has to be your blood. And I stand on, blood makes you related. Blood does not make you family. And I say that because that's the life I had to live. Like, every family member I have, a lot of them, I had to build them for myself, right? Like,
Yes.
a lot of them, I had to say, listen, you ain't my friend. You my sister. You my brother. You my uncle. You my aunt. You know what I'm saying? Like, I had to build that. And so when people try to sit there and tell me what somebody is, it's like, okay, that's your reality, but my reality looks different, right? Like, and there has been times where I would get emotional and try to defend myself, always defending myself. Like, had to come to a point where I'm tired of defending myself. What's understood don't need to be explained. And what I know is this, and if you feel something else, then that's on you. But you can't fault me for living out my truth and my reality, because it goes back to what I explained before. You don't have to live it. right? You didn't have to do the things or go through the stuff that I had to go through. And so going back to your question, Chloe, sorry. um,
Why are we sorry?
Listen, I will ramble, but I have to will myself back to make sure I stand on the point of you said what does safety look like? So to just wheel it all back in, safety for back then was shut down, and safety for us now is being vulnerable in our truth, and not just rambling with it, but actually standing on it and having boundaries of how
Mhm.
we say it and what rooms we step into. We not just being yes people, right? We are
Yeah.
actually understanding who we are and not
Mhm.
afraid to say no if the deal or the thing doesn't go through. And like Ross was saying, not just for the money. We ain't doing stuff just for the money, because if that's the case, we'll be saying yeah to everything because everything is attached to
Mm-hmm.
money. But
Right.
Mm-hmm.
we're not saying yes to things that doesn't match our identity.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
For sure. Yeah, that was powerful. That's something I say spiritually, the best gift we can give to other people is being authentic and giving them permission to be their authentic selves.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I love it. Did you have another a part two of that question? Because she
She's
answers
so.
everything with
I
one
was going to say
response.
she's so talented that she not only answered the question that I had, she answered the question I was going to follow up with. So, I'm
Miss not good
listening.
on camera.
Ah,
Oh my gosh. Oh yeah, you're never letting that go. You're never letting that go.
but I can
Now,
talk,
but I
I
did,
can talk, honey. I can talk.
but it's all good stuff.
Yeah.
It's all good stuff. Okay. I do want to touch on DNA doesn't make you a father.
Mhm.
Hmm.
That is a trigger point if there
Mhm.
ever was one.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Please talk to me about where DNA doesn't make you a father came from, and then how that ties in with breaking generational cycles and the type of conversations we need to have going forward. And I asked all three of those questions because she's going to cover them all.
She gonna answer it all.
And so, where did DNA doesn't make you a father come from?
Mhm.
DNA doesn't make you a father came from my father.
Okay.
Because, like I just explained, we don't share the same blood, but he was my father. He's what
Yeah.
I knew, right?
Mm-hmm.
DNA doesn't make you a father came from my children's father. They
Mm-hmm.
may not share the same blood, but he's their father, right? DNA doesn't make you a father came from my best friend who he has children that may not be the same blood as him, but those are his children.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, I've always just built my family. And I had to resonate with that because it's like a lot of men are raising children that don't have the same blood as them, but you'll never know unless they
Mm-hmm.
say so, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, why do we have to explain who is related by blood or whatever? Why is that a thing? Because society made it like that,
Yeah.
right? And it's like there's a lot of fathers walking around here who has children that does not have the same blood as them, but they own that. Like that's my child. Them are my children. So it's like when I seen that, I'm like, I need to write this book to give them a voice, to give all fathers a voice. Because when people
Yes.
see the title, like you said, it resonated with a lot of people. Like, oh, let me get that. DNA don't make it further because people thought I was throwing shots, right?
Yes. And,
And
and I'm so glad you can clarify this.
it's not and even as men they'll see the title and so you just downplaying men, da, 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 da. Not. I'm giving y'all flowers actually. Like,
Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
I said DNA doesn't make you a father because I want that to be clear. Just because a child does not have your blood does not mean you do not need or don't have to show up for them.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have stories in there on purpose to make people feel uncomfortable so that people
Mhm.
can understand, like, okay, well, I'm a data woman. She may have children. Okay. But you got to understand that her children and her are a package deal, right?
Mhm.
So say something happened between y'all, but you and the children still got your own connection. Just because you and her didn't work out, don't mean you got to cut the children off, especially if she doesn't mind you still being there.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And people feel like, oh, well, they're just children, they'll get over it. Da, 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 da. Well, that's where the trauma starts because
Yeah.
it's like they had a guy that helped make them. They may not know that person, or he comes in and out when he wants to. And then they had you. You were there wholeheartedly, but just because you and the mama didn't work out, now you like deuces on you too. And so
Mhm.
now they're two traumas. Now they're dealing with
Mhm.
emotional, they're emotional detachment now because it's like everybody that comes in my life gonna leave me because of what my
Mhm.
mom did. You know what I'm saying? Like, what did I do?
Right.
What. And so that book talks about every father. It talks about the bare minimum fathers. It talks about the fathers who stepped up. It talks about the military fathers. It talks about the fathers who are still healing and want to be the best father they can be, but still accidentally pass down trauma to their children unintentionally. It talks about the absentee fathers. It talks about everybody. And I even started off with a letter to fathers, right? I started
Mhm.
off as a letter to let y'all know, like, I'm so proud of y'all for even trying, the ones who are even trying, like, you jacked up, but you like, you know what, I'm still gonna be there for my child. But I also go into detail of why that can be an issue and where you can fix it, because the fact that you're still showing up shows that you want to be there. You just weren't given the tools on how to, because it also talks about the fathers who didn't have father figures themselves or didn't have the best
Yes.
family. It talks about addicted fathers. It talks about everybody. I cover
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
everybody, and I'm not throwing shots at anybody. I'm just bringing a conversation that we are afraid to have, or even not even realize that we shut men out like they don't have feelings, but they do. Like, they go through trauma, they go through stuff just as well as mothers do. Like,
Mhm.
we may not have the same story, we may not go through the same things, but I wanted to bring to the forefront, like, y'all matter too, because without y'all
Mhm.
and without us, like, we are the missing piece to our children. Like, children need both parents, period.
Yes.
Like, and they need both parents healed though, because if we both
Yes.
come in jacked up, then what we gonna create? Jacked up children, right?
Yeah.
So, and then I also have a part in there where I explained to the fathers that a lot of times, a lot of these mothers aren't being cruel or being the B word or anything like that. It's just they have noticed some things in you that they don't want their child to be attached to. So they're not saying the door's closed, but they're
Mhm.
saying, how about you get yourself in order before you come? Because I need you to be whole to be able to reach them where they are, because I done already done some damage myself. They don't need to be damaged by both of us, right? And
Mhm.
so that book is just more so of an understanding for men, but also women too. Just like the way to motherhood is the same way. It's for women, but it's also for men so that they can understand what women actually go through behind the mask of being a mom, because we carry more than just babies. And
Oh.
so DNA doesn't
Mhm.
make you a father, does the same thing. It carries the mass of, because people feel like, oh, well, dads get free time, da 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 da, which is a true statement. Dads do get free time. I mean, however we want to cut it, you ain't a bad father because you get free time. But what we as mothers mean by that is, we're not saying y'all get free time to try to do stuff all willy nilly that y'all don't think about your children. No, what we're saying is women have their children more than guys do. And that's just the truth of it. That's the reality of it, because we have that attachment that guys will never understand, because they grew inside of us, right? So even when
Mhm.
our children are not with us, they're with us. Does that make sense?
It
So
Mm.
does. I have a question. I don't, but I don't, Russ, I don't want to keep.
you're fine.
Go ahead.
Is there ever, because you made a statement that was really, really profound to me about talking about mothers kind of protecting and like shielding their child, and even from some of like the dad's trauma, because
Mhm,
we're aware of like how we also introduce trauma into our
mhm,
child's life.
mhm.
Where is the line with that? Is there ever a time that mothers cross boundaries that we shouldn't, when we
Um,
start to dictate what our children have access to? And I
we
understand we are in protector mode, but does that ever go too far?
it can go too far when you downplay the father. Like a lot
Okay.
of times we get so emotional and get into protective mode that we start throwing daggers at the father, like calling on names,
Mm-hmm.
not realizing how much that actually hurts them, not realizing how much they already deal with that. So with
Mm-hmm.
us saying it out loud, it brings more trauma to what they already are dealing with. So
Mm-hmm.
it's
Okay.
like you can say something to them and it makes them pull away more because it's like, well, I already feel this way about myself.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that she feel that way, I might as well just, because a lot of times fathers can feel like they're no good. Like, so
Mm-hmm.
instead of even trying, they disappear because it's like, well, what else can I do anyway? Because she already think this of me. I already think this of myself. I might as well just disappear. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not fair on them because now it's like we're not even giving them a fair chance. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
Okay.
all about the language of how we, because women, we know we baby, when we talk we can become knives with our mouths, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so we got to understand that men do not understand the emotional part of our language. Now correct me if I'm wrong, Ross. Am I right? Like y'all, when we get emotional and stuff, y'all like, okay, well, that's not, how do we fix it? Because guys want to fix it, right? Am I
Yeah.
right or wrong? Yeah, so
Um, we understand. We just want action with declaration. So if you're going to say things need to change, tell me what the plan is.
Yes, right. So
You know what I mean?
they need a game plan. They need but at the same token, us as women, when we're in the midst of it, sometimes we don't even have language to know what exactly we want.
Mm-hmm.
So I always tell folk the best thing you can ever do for your child or children is to have the uncomfortable conversations with the father or fathers. And what that may look like is y'all going to a park or something and just actually sitting down. Now, the
Mm-hmm.
question is, are you able to be in a free space to even have a conversation with that man or men where they will actually hear you or where you will actually hear them? Or is your
Right.
pain still too fresh for y'all to even have a face-to-face conversation? Because sometimes people's
Mm-hmm.
pains are still so fresh that they can't even look at the person, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
So you have to come to an understanding like, okay, when can I actually sit down and talk to this person? But at the same token, we have to remember the longer it takes, the more our children miss out,
Yeah.
right? So it's
Yeah.
just understanding the time, understanding when and where. And if sometimes you just got to write a letter and just be like, here, I just need you to read this and get all this out. And then that's how the conversation starts. Then do that.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes we can write better than what we can say. Because, like I said,
Yeah.
we get into the emotional of it. And then for
Right.
the guys who are listening, that's asking the same question as Chloe, what you all can do is understand a lot of the times mothers, let me see how I can put this. Okay, so a lot of the times mothers are pissed off because you have done something through their postpartum time. So, and what that
Okay.
looks like is when a mother is pregnant or after she has her child, if you did something that she didn't really like or did something disrespectful, as far as like, for the most part, people sit there and cheat on a woman that is pregnant, right?
Mhm.
Or they have infidelity while that woman, or have two, three women pregnant at the same time. You don't
Mhm.
understand how damaging that is. And when I say that, it's because not only do you have one or two people pregnant at the same time, but you got two women that are now in their most vulnerable state, and you have to
Mhm.
show up for the both of them. And a lot of men, they choose who to be around because they're like, oh, well, the one that gives me the most peace. But you
Mhm.
created the confusion. You created this, right?
Mhm.
So now you have to listen. The best thing that y'all can probably do is listen to her in her vulnerability, because once you hear her in her vulnerability, then you can know what to fix. Because right then and there, she's gonna be throwing out jabs, but she's gonna be throwing out what she needs, right? And in her
Mhm.
postpartum stage, or her baby blues stage, is when a lot of times she's going to need y'all the most. Like, she's going to need that man the most. And I think where men forget is, as women, the moment we hear a heartbeat, that's the moment we become a mother. So at that
Mhm.
same token, that's when guys become fathers. But guys are visual first. So they feel like the moment they see their child, they are a father. But really, when that woman or them women are pregnant, you're a father right then and there. And it's more than just, oh, I'll just, buy him or her something, or I'll just show up. No, because when you help take care of the mother, then the child is okay. Just like if you were down and out, it's very healthy for the mother to help the father, because what we fail to realize, like I said, we are the two missing piece. So when
Mhm.
each
Mhm.
of us are good, then our children will be good. So that's emotional, physical, mental, you know what I'm saying, financially. So
Mhm.
what we miss is, guys feel like they have a certain, oh, this is what I'm supposed to do and this is what mama's supposed to do, when actually both of us should be a team all the time, and be able to work with each other in a way where we balance each other. Like, one, it shouldn't be so much on one person, and usually it's the mom, where we feel like we are put in a position where we have to carry everything in a way where it looks like this: the mother is doing everything, right? And then the father, he does little stuff, and he's praised for the little stuff that moms do every day. That's one
Mhm.
of the conversations where it pisses a lot of mothers off, because it's like, well, I do that every day. I change the diaper after the day. But as soon as the dad do it, it's, oh, and guys get upset when mothers say things like that. But it's like I said, sometimes we have to sit down and have those uncomfortable conversations, because at the end of the day, it is real. Not tearing y'all down like y'all doing anything wrong, but we need to understand that everything that we do and don't do not just affects us anymore. We got children, because little do
Mhm.
we want to keep admitting, like I always tell folks, we ain't together till 18. We together for life. Like, we these children's parents
Mhm. Mhm.
forever, right? And the moment a lot of guys finally realize that, and a lot of women realize that, instead of, for the women, when they use that, oh, well, I'm a father and a mother, or I don't need, they don't need the dad. I hate that mindset too, because it's like, you can't be a father and a mother, because there's some
Right.
things that you just cannot
You just
teach
can't do.
your
Mhm.
child, right? Just like
Mhm.
Mhm.
if there's single fathers out there, you're doing a bang up job, great job, but there's just some things that they're going to need their mother for. Again, we're a team. We made these babies together.
Mhm.
It's up to us to raise these children together. Now, do we want to raise them broken, or do we want to raise them whole? Is the question.
That was a good speech.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that
I
was well put.
If I could pose a question actually to both of you,
Mhm.
Mhm.
because Russ is actually really good at giving this kind of insight. Listening to how important conversation is, how important communication is. What if we're just not good communicators?
And we're
But
not.
is the, but is that the first step to acknowledge, like, hey, as the mom sometimes, especially during pregnancy, I can even speak personally during
Yeah.
pregnancy and during postpartum, I
Mhm.
did not feel like myself, but I did not know how to articulate that. So
Hmm.
then when you have this communication barrier where I can't even tell you what I need, how do you know? How do you figure out those ways to find support? Like, are there other clues or things? Are there other forms of communication besides just speaking that we as parents should be taking as cues from one another?
Writing. Coming from a mother who's dealt with postpartum, I've had postpartum rage, postpartum hair loss, postpartum memory loss.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the best form of communication that I've learned for myself, because I was terrible at communicating, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was at rage. I was always, because I've always held, I always tell folk, a mother will never forget how she's treated while pregnant, right? And she will never forget how she's treated through her postpartum era, how no matter how long it is.
Mm-hmm.
So coming from that, when I realized that I wasn't a good communicator was when, like I was just explaining, when I was throwing shots. I was throwing shots and they were not good shots and they were really bad and they tore him down real bad. And
Mm-hmm.
it didn't resonate to me until he was like, you know what? You really hurt my feelings when you said XYZ. And now I carry that with me. Now that's all I see.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, well, I'm terrible at communicating. I don't know how to communicate. Like I'm terrible at it. Right now, I don't know what to say. I'm not okay. And I'm not gonna be okay for a while, right? And sometimes men wanna know where you at
Mm-hmm.
for a lot of them. Like they would like to know that the moment you say, I don't know how to communicate this, I don't know where I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
It's better than, oh well, you should know, you should be like, no, I
Mm-hmm.
don't know, I'm trying to, and for the
Mm-hmm.
ones that are really, in touch with their emotional side, for a lot of men that are in touch with their emotional side, when we as women lash out at them, to
Mm-hmm.
them it's like they turn into that little boy again, because sometimes they've been screamed at by their own moms. So
Mm-hmm.
now they're afraid to even speak how they think they can help, because now you've already shut them down, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so I always say writing, because, like I said, sometimes you can just write down how you feel, and that person can read it how they feel right then and there. So if they're in a good place, they can read it in a good place. Because when
Mm-hmm.
we talk to people, it's not what we say, but it's how we say it, right? It's the
Mm-hmm.
emotion behind it on how people take it. So
Mm-hmm.
a lot of guys meet you with your energy. So if you coming hot and heavy and cussing, they're gonna give you that same energy, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're coming respectful and things, sometimes they may not understand it, but they can receive it better because now it's in a calmer energy, right? Russ, you want to piggyback off of that?
Yeah, yeah, I definitely can see your side in what you're saying. I'll say from a male's perspective, our disconnection isn't with y'all's emotions. Our disconnection is with accountability. I think what women don't understand is we were raised to lead. We were raised to be captain. We were raised to be owners. We were raised to be CEOs. So if I have a book and I'm going to give my book to Chloe to publish, to be the head, I need to know she is at her best because this is my baby. So where men get disconnected is we're policed by people who aren't healing. So like you're calling out what I'm not doing while you're not taking care of your body, your mind, your speech. You still cuss around the kids. You still hang out with women who drink and drive and don't take care of their kids.
Right.
So I'm connected to the baby during pregnancy, but also we know I can't control this baby, this child's life for you. If you want to get an abortion, you're going to. If you want another man to play dad, you're going to. If you want to cut me out, you're no matter what I say or do, I'm at the mercy of what you decide. And that has been programmed into me since a child. Because remember, women are taught to be mothers and wives. Men are not taught to be fathers and husbands. We were never taught that at
Right.
all. So we're coming from a woman who traumatized us through me thinking, okay, she has her family, she's going to keep getting better. But we watched her stay the same for 20 years while she just complained about everyone else's performance.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And no, at no point did hers come into question. But you were supposed to lead the household and raise the children, so you have to be the best. That's
Mhm.
the leader. You don't get days off. That comes
Mhm.
with your job description.
Mhm.
So I think a lot of times it's been convenient to be the primary parent, but then complain about being the primary parent. And I'm the primary parent as a father. I've the things that they've had to ask me for help, I've never had to ask them for help because in the beginning I was asking for help. I've
Mhm.
never heard a father say, a single father, I can do this on my own, ever. We talk about community. I'll ask my aunt, my grandmother, people I haven't talked to. I'll be like, I need help with these kids. And I've watched, like you said earlier about being safe and strong. I watched a lot of women say, oh, I got it on my own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then look at all the people in prison. A lot of them come from single mothers. Look
Yeah.
at a lot of the people committing murders come from single
Mhm.
mothers. So then at some point, you have to identify what I'm doing isn't working. But you can't do that when you're policing fathers. You get what I'm saying? And a lot of these women never had fathers. So where are you getting your information from? I guarantee it's probably some woman saying,
Mhm.
this is what this man got going on. And she didn't have a father. And even if she had a father, she doesn't understand the plight of fathers.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? It's anecdotal. She understands her situation. You dig?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
yes, what you said, a lot of it I agree with. The disconnection for men though is if you want to step up and lead, everyone's going to hold you accountable as a leader. So if you're not holding yourself accountable, you're not fit to lead. If you can't fast, you're not fit to lead. If you can't be the bigger person, you are not fit to lead. So it's not fair for a person telling me I should only be able to see my kids 4 times a month when you yell at them every day. That will never make sense to a man because remember we're logical. So you gotta make you can't just say feelings, feelings, feelings. He doesn't understand me. So you still gotta make sense. And
But like she
if
said,
I'm watching you destroy yourself, I am not confident in you as a mother with my child too. It's also my child.
yeah,
So
P.
when do I get to address that?
P and C
You
is
know,
your
when does the city come together for the mother's accountability? Because we don't see it. When mothers get passes, and then yes, fathers do get coddled. I don't like it either. I don't like when, he changed the diaper. Oh my God, he's the greatest dad ever. I think it's more to it, but I do agree with you. There are kids past 18. So psychologically, what I believe is happening is a mother prepares a child for right now. As a father, we're preparing them for the future. Marriage, graduation, buying a home, not getting tricked out of some business deal. You're preparing them with right now. Character, being a good person, please and thank you, asking for help, apologizing, admitting, Mom, I broke the vase. I was running around and it wasn't intentional, but I did it because
accountability.
we weren't raised to know how to do those things. Some
Mhm.
guys like me can, but I'm a unicorn. I'm an anomaly. Most men won't talk how I can from like the emotional aspect. You know what I mean? But what
Hmm.
I hear that man saying is like I'm constantly being held accountable, and I don't feel like I can hold her accountable at all about anything. And that doesn't scream teen to me. So now our kid is watching this.
That's
So when they go get married, what do you think they're going to do?
why I said it got to be a balance. That's why I was saying
Mhm.
we are a team. Like that's why I ended it. Are we raising our children healthy or are we raising them broken? Because
Yes.
regardless on how you cut it, right, Ross, you've pretty much proven my point. There's no balance. Like
Yes.
we are a teeter totter, right? Because
Yeah.
us as women, even if we do, and I'm not gonna say all women because there are a lot of women. Like for me, I can admit when I'm wrong. I can hold myself accountable. Um, and at the same token, it's like even as mothers, we are still put on this pedestal where we are supposed to know everything. Are we supposed to be this certain way when in reality because we hold so much we deal with stuff emotionally, mentally, financially, and physically at the exact same time. like
Mhm.
give like give for instance when we give birth,
Mhm.
We don't get time to stop and actually let ourselves heal. We still got a mother. We still got to find a paying job. If the job that we was working don't take us back, we still got to figure out how we're going to support these children. We still got to make sure our mental okay if we're dealing with postpartum. For a lot of women who are deeply in their postpartum, like we have to deal with everything at the exact same time. And like you
Mm-hmm.
were saying, Ross, for men, y'all weren't given certain um languages or certain instructions on how to do certain things. Neither were women. Because like you just
Mm-hmm.
admitted, there's a lot of dysfunction when it comes to mothers unfortunately having to raise their children by themselves, whether it's out of um, their child's father not doing what he's supposed to do, or it's because something happened and she just don't want him around. Whatever the case is, we have to learn how to have them uncomfortable conversations, because it's extremely important for us to understand each other, because once a baby comes in the picture, both of us are not the same person anymore. So now we
Mm-hmm.
have to relearn each other. That's even like in a legal marriage, like when people sit there and renew their vows, right? You renew your vows because you are not the same person
Mm-hmm.
anymore,
Yeah.
right? And now you have to recommit to that new person that you are now. So that's the same with creating a child with somebody. Once a child comes in the picture after birth, y'all are no longer the same, especially the woman. She is no
Mm-hmm.
longer the same because physically her body done changed, her mind is changing, right? And then for guys, y'all finances have to change. The way y'all do things in a certain way has to change.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, a lot of times that falls more on the mother than it does on the guy, because what do people say as soon as you say, oh, the guy's not in the picture? The first thing people say is what? Put him on child support.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, a lot of women aren't even talking about that. They like, no, I want relationship, right? So the first thing is always thrown at guys: money, money, money. So now that's all that comes to mind. Like, oh, I just got to provide for my son, or I just got to provide for my daughter. When all reality, a lot of these women want a real relationship for their children, because like you said, Ross, a lot of mothers grew up without their father, so they want that for their child, but they don't know how to voice that, because now not only do they want a relationship that they never had, but they don't know how to communicate it because they were shown by a single mother that it's okay to do everything by yourself. You don't need him, right? So now
Mhm.
they're fighting two things at the same time, right?
Mm-hmm.
How do we know what healthy parenting should look like if we've never seen it?
You
How it
created,
resonates, I would
yeah,
say.
exactly. Yep, you created yourself. Like you have to, for you, like like I was saying, we have to know what we want for our families. Like for instance, like Ross was saying, if you the way you want to build your family. So if you want to have a relationship with the father or the fathers of your children and you never seen that, okay, you be the first to that. But don't be mad when you go back and tell the same folk that ain't got a relationship, hey, I'm trying to, and they got nothing but negative stuff to say. You
Yeah.
need to talk to people who are in the same space as you. You need to talk to like-minded people, because if you have a
Hmm.
healing heart of, oh, I want to heal this cycle, I want to heal this cycle, and then you go back to people who ain't even, like Ross was saying, you talking to folk that ain't even healed themselves, you gonna feel discouraged once you talk to them. Go
Hmm.
talk to
Mm-hmm.
somebody that has the same mass that, oh, okay, sis, yep, I see you, we can do this, da, da. Or go talk to a
Mm-hmm.
man that is emotionally intelligent. Like he knows how to speak to you in a way where it balances you from a male perspective, but also balances you emotionally too. Like, okay, let's understand each other from a different perspective. Okay, cool. But if we're trying to do something different and we keep talking to folks that's okay and comfortable with the same old, then we're gonna keep rehearsing the same stuff, and we're gonna feel bad about trying to change because we still around the people that's, oh, well, this is cool, this is normal, this is, but it's not. right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say when it's healthy, nothing will feel forced.
That's it.
Everything will feel like it flows. I think that's one of the biggest plights that fathers face when it comes to parenting in society. Because
Hmm.
yes, if we are in a situation that's difficult with the mother, society's advice is go take her to court. Is fight for
Hmm.
your child, which
Mhm.
is anti-family. So men, again, we don't hear logic in a lot of these solutions because you can't tell me we're a team, but I got to take you to court to see my child.
Exactly.
You can't tell me we're a team, but you need a third party who gets paid from collecting child support. They get paid from that too. So now we're throwing away more money
And
because
for the
we
melanin
couldn't
community
find middle ground.
too, not to cut you off, Ross, but for the melanin community too, we got to stop running to a system that was never built for us in mind. It was
Yes.
always built to
Yeah.
create confusion and diversion. So why do we keep running if like you just said, if we're saying we want to be a team and we want to do things, why do we run to the people that's going to tear us apart anyway that was built to do that, right?
Mhm.
So we got
Hmm.
to learn to comfort in each other, and that's when it goes back to how we all started this conversation, the healing within first, because if you don't heal yourself, you can't change nothing, right?
Hmm.
So we all
Mhm.
have to heal ourselves first, because once you heal yourself, then like Ross said, you can begin to see things more clearly. You can, because right
Hmm.
now, if you're still in the hurt process or still in the healing process on some things, you can still come up against some things and still think about it as an emotion, like you're reacting to it off of your
Yes.
emotion. And so there's still going to be some things, just because you're in the healing process don't mean that you're healed. And there's some
Right.
things that you may think like, oh, I'm okay. I can talk about this now. But the moment it surfaces, then you and that person are back at odds again. Y'all back, you're not hearing each other. You're hearing the trauma
Yeah.
and the pain. So once you fully heal yourself in a way where when you come up against that healing part of, okay, I need to heal from whatever my child's father did or whatever I did to create this situation. Once you come against that and it fully heals, like he said, you'll know, because then you'll be willing to, if he was to call you or something, like, hey, can we sit and have a conversation? You will know if it's a peace or if it's a calm. But the moment you hear his voice or
Yeah.
something and
Mhm.
that resonates again, it's not time for you to have a conversation yet, because it's gonna go
Yes.
back
Mhm.
to what y'all already, where y'all already at, right?
And to me,
Yeah.
you got to check yourself with that, men and women. Like,
That's it.
we can't
Hmm.
keep saying as men and women, both of our interest is the child and we're arguing. If our
Mm-mm.
interest is that child, we should never have an argument ever.
That's it.
We should never get loud. We should never be name calling. If we
Hmm.
doing that, the child is not both of our best interests. So we just got to be
Right.
honest at that point. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because a lot of people's emotions, whether folk want to realize it or not, is when you have a child with somebody, you are still attached to that person emotionally.
Hmm.
And
Mhm.
a lot of times, what women forget, well, a lot of women don't even know, and a lot of guys don't know either, that when you have a child with somebody, guys, when y'all make a baby with a woman, your DNA stays inside of us for 7 years.
Hmm.
It takes 7 years for your DNA to escape our body. So not only do the child have your DNA, but we have it for 7 years, right?
Hmm.
So if you're overlapping that, guys, y'all good with math? I suck at math. But if you're overlapping that, right? 7 years, you make a child with somebody. So say you slept with her again in the last 2, 3 years, that's overlapping, right?
Hmm.
And say
Mhm.
you made a baby with made a baby with 2, 3 women. There's 2, 3 women that has your DNA inside of her at the same time. So they're pulled and tugged with each other because now their center is you. And a lot of people don't even realize how deep that is when they say,
Hmm.
oh, well, we just had a child together. Yeah, but I'm also carrying you too,
Yeah.
right? And so that's
Yeah.
why the first couple years it's hard for women to talk to the guy if they weren't on good terms, because now she's emotionally connected. That's what a soul tie is, right?
Mhm.
Yep.
So now you're emotionally connected to this person, And it's like you said, Ross, y'all are so logical, but because we are so emotional, it's like, I just need you to hear me. I want you to tell me that. And it's
We
like,
speak in two different languages.
yeah, we speak in two different you don't even understand yourself, right? You coming at me with all this rage and you want me to understand you, but you don't even understand yourself right now. You still trying to
Right.
figure that out. But at the same token, it's never just one person's fault. It's both of our fault,
Yes.
right? And that's the
Yes.
realization we need to come and understand. Like, we did this together, period. So how do we figure
Mhm.
this out together, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're in a good place. I don't think a lot of our anger and wounds are from each other. I
No.
think a lot of us are disappointed in the mistakes we made when we were younger, and the mistakes that
Mm-hmm.
took us so long to figure out. And I think some people have self-esteem issues now. Am I damaged? Am
Mm-hmm.
I broken? Can I, at 49 find love again? Like, is
Mm-hmm.
that person out there? And I think that weight is on all of us.
Because when you have a baby with somebody, it's like, oh, well, will they leave me too, like my papa did? Like, will they, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So and
Yeah.
then with the guys, it's like, well, she talking to me, like my mama did, like, or like my
We
sister
say
did.
that all the time. Like my
Mm-hmm.
mom used to do that. Don't say that to me. Well,
It's two wounds and two traumas living in the same space. And
hmm
we gotta understand, like, again, it goes back to what we've been saying. We have to learn how to heal, but what to heal first, because you don't want to heal everything at
mm,
one time, because each trauma holds its own space, right? So it's like,
yes.
pick what you want to focus on, and
Mm-hmm.
then heal that, then go to the next thing. Don't try to heal everything at one token, because again, then that's how it clashes, and then that's how you
hmm
become surface. You're just surface now, like, oh, I got through that, I'm okay. Like, but that trauma took 3, 4, 5, 12 years to surface. So
Yeah.
imagine how long it would take you to heal from that. Like, you just can't heal a trauma that's 12 years running in 3 days, 2 days, right?
Right.
So it's
It's
like,
not gonna
you
happen.
have to give yourself time to actually process it. And what the issue is, a lot of folk are afraid to feel the pain. They don't want it to process, because what folk fail to realize is, when you start healing, the dirty part of healing is the uncomfortableness, right?
Yes.
And that comes first, because healing is messy, it's uncomfortable, it's
hmm
holding yourself accountable, it's not knowing your emotions at the time. Because one minute you can be crying, the next minute you can be pissed off, the next minute you can be angry. It's all of those emotions building up, because now you're allowing yourself to finally feel it, not
Mm-hmm.
hmm
just live through it, or not just survive it. You're actually feeling it now. So
hmm
when people start feeling it, they like, oh, nope, nope, I don't want it no more. Nope, I'm cool, I'm good. But it's like, you stopped your process. Like, you were fine. But the moment they start feeling them emotions again, it's like, I thought I was okay. It ain't working. But no, they
Yeah.
going. It's like a grief, because you're grieving
Yeah.
the old you to accept the new you. But
hmm
how would you know what the new you looks like until you pull the root of the old you out? Because everything got to start from the root of the problem. And the
Yeah.
roots are not always clean, right? They're messy. If you get out there in the garden and start pulling up roots, you're going to be messy and dirty, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what happens when you heal. The stuff just has to surface first so that you can clean it up, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. And I was going to end on, I think, because I love what you said entirely. I think another thing we have to learn with healing is being more considerate. It's something we talk about all the time. When
Mhm.
I'm calling my best friend, I let them know as soon as we on the phone. I just need to vent.
Uh-huh.
I just need to, I just need to tell you what happened. It was
Yeah.
crazy. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because if
Yeah.
not, I don't want to come off like I'm just dumping on you. I don't want to feel entitled that every time something going on, let me
Yeah.
go call her.
Yeah.
Let me
Yeah.
tell her everything that
Yeah.
happened. I don't want no solution. I just want to tell her what's going on. And we carry around that weight a lot of times too, of not knowing how to communicate, not being considerate of other people, just thinking, I gotta tell somebody
I
this
gotta say
right now.
something. Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
But did you even ask yourself where they're coming from, what they're
Mhm.
going through,
Mhm.
what's in their head? Do they have the capacity? So
Yeah.
that's something, me and Chloe do. Like that's become natural rhetoric, and
Mhm.
that stuff will help us connect with each other. Just being mindful. Like, yo,
And
can I share
empathy.
with you? Can you got a minute? You know?
Yeah. A lot of folk lack empathy too. And then I've learned,
Yeah.
the first thing I ask people is, how you feeling? And when I say that, people start like rambling. Oh, well, I did no, stop. How are you feeling? And it's been plenty times, especially with mothers, they like, me, how? No,
Someone asking me
how
that?
are
Yeah.
you feeling? And I've asked a few guys, like, how are you feeling? And, oh, well, I got, no, stop. Did you hear my question? No, what did you say? How are you feeling? How am I
Mhm.
Yeah.
feeling? I guess I'm okay. And then I go to, you guess?
Right.
Nobody
Mm-hmm.
ever asked me that before. And I get that a lot because I learned that, like you said, Ross, people lack empathy. And then there's a lot of times where you can have somebody that's your go-to person and
Mhm.
y'all don't even realize that y'all going through something
Yes.
at the same time, right?
Mhm.
Or
Yes.
when you're going through something, he or she may be okay for the moment, but the moment you start venting, they're like, I can hold space for you. But then the moment you start, it's like, oh shoot, now the stuff I was going through is coming up. Oh crap. But I can't step
Mm-hmm.
in the middle of the room because I don't want to be rude, but this is a little too much for me, right? And so I've learned, because I got both of my sisters, they are my venters, right? And I'm their venters.
Yeah.
And there will be sometimes where they don't even realize that I'm going through as much as I'm going through until they get, like, they'll text me. But when they get on the phone and I answer, they be like, what's wrong? Like, like, what just happened? What? And it's like, sometimes it's more so when you are equally connected emotionally, just by the tone of their voice or just by when you see
Mm-hmm.
them that they're not okay. And even through a text, if y'all really that connected, they already know. If you text them, oh, I'm all right, okay, texting ain't got no language. But when you got a
Yeah.
language with that person, they could just read your text and be like, all right, Ross, like, what's up? No, you're not
What's
okay.
going on?
Like, no, you ain't a queen. No, no, man. What is it? And it's like, you need them kind of people around you to center you, because sometimes when you get into your vulnerable point, like you said, Rush, you want to be heard. So sometimes we'll sit there if we can't get the person that we are used to, venting to or used to getting that encouragement from, we'll try to find somebody just to get it out.
Mm-hmm.
And then a lot
Mm-hmm.
of times what we would do is we'll dump on the wrong person and they'll take that information for ammo, right? Or they'll
Now
take
it's on
it.
Facebook.
And, yup. And now now it's all on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
And then a lot of people, they don't have people to talk to. So they go on Facebook and they say this big old rant. And now you got all these folk commenting and not nothing nice. You got more folk commenting something. And now they mad like, well, why you all up in my business? Well, you put it out there. Like,
Yeah.
and so it's like, I always stand on, I'll never forget, my bishop told me this long time ago. It's when you're emotional, don't say nothing, don't do nothing, don't make no major decisions. Because
Yeah.
at the
Yes.
end of the day, especially now that we're on a social platform, unfortunately, the
Yeah.
moment you click that send button, no matter how quick you think you deleted it, somebody done
Somebody
seen it.
saw it. Mhm.
Somebody done
Screenshotted
seen
it.
it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
And then it brings it back to you like,
All right. I got one more question. I just
"What?"
feel like this combination of you two is a little too good to pass up.
Oh,
But I got
It's a
one more
whole nother
question.
podcast in itself.
but
Oh, this
this is
is three
not
sections. This is three.
yeah.
You're gonna be the month of July. We're just gonna do July is Queen Month.
We're gonna break this into 5 parts. Do the daughter thing. We're gonna break this up.
But no, I mean these really are the kind of conversations we need to have, and I love that we are like in real time having both perspectives in there,
Mhm.
and I think that this is like so important to show because it's genderless, it's colorless, it's
Mm-hmm.
faithless. Like everyone has these kind of dynamics, and I love that we can have this kind of media go out on social media than some of the other stories that we've been hearing about.
Right.
But you were touching on having empathy, and we were talking about being considerate. What do we do when you and your parenting partner are not on the same healing journey at the same time? What if one of
I
you is
would.
trying to heal in a space that the other one says, I'm fine?
I'll be quick and say you need a third party involved. I
Mhm.
loved family structures back in the day because they, in some cultures still do, but they believed in having four generations in the home. So they always
Mhm.
had a mediator. They always had a third person who could be unbiased, hear both sides, and say, okay, this is what I heard.
Mhm.
And this is what I heard that I didn't like. You
Mhm.
called her ugly. She called you fat. Like, we don't need that part. But this middle, it sounds like we have something. Let's focus on this.
Mhm.
This is actually about the children.
Mhm.
And we have to be honest enough to sometimes, like she was saying, to admit I'm not okay right now. I don't know how I feel about them. I don't think I can work with them right now. I
Mhm.
need someone who also represents our child to be present and say,
Okay.
the child is more bigger than what y'all got going on.
Mhm.
You dig? So I think you need a third party. You need someone there to intervene, to show up for the on the child's behalf. Because sometimes we're just going back and forth. The kid in another room. So
Mhm.
you need someone to bring y'all kind of back to remember what this is about.
Mhm.
For me.
Mhm. I'm gonna piggyback off of Ross. In my experience, I feel like you don't need necessarily somebody who you need. You do need one person who knows the both of y'all equally, and
Okay.
then you also need somebody who doesn't know y'all at all. Because
Hmm.
Mm. Okay.
when you find somebody who knows y'all equally, depending on how that person feel, they might lean one way, they might lean the other way, but they still
Yeah.
will give you a perspective on both of y'all. Like y'all acting retarded, you know what I'm saying? But
Yes.
Right.
you
Yes.
also need somebody who don't know y'all at all, that don't have no emotional attached to y'all, that can tell y'all like,
Mhm.
listen, y'all need to stop it here and do this. And
Yeah.
then the child needs to be able to do XYZ. Like you need somebody that can center all of y'all at the same time. And even the middle person, like that person is coming, correct for both of y'all, but he or she can get centered by the person that doesn't know neither one of y'all either, because he or she may be doing something wrong that he or she don't even realize. Right.
Hmm.
So yes, like Ross said, you need somebody like a third party from y'all's generation that know, but you also need somebody who's not equally attached to either
Mhm.
one of you, that can be like, okay, let me hear y'all for what actually is, or even just have somebody sit there and listen to y'all talk, right?
Mhm.
Because it's important for people to, because sometimes we don't hear ourselves, right? And
Right.
we can't really understand where each other is coming from all the time, because all we hear is us, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's important to have somebody sitting down, not saying anything, but be like, okay, just go ahead and have a conversation and see how y'all
Hmm.
interact with each other, so that
Mhm.
they can really understand where the dynamic and the base is. Now, when you have an outside person, make sure that they're coming in a healed place too, though, because the worst thing
Hmm.
Yeah.
you can do is bring somebody from the outside who was just as dysfunction as inside, right? Because that ain't gonna do nothing but cause more chaos. And
Yeah.
how do you know if that person is functional enough to understand where your dynamic is? You sit and have a conversation with that person and you see how they communicate with you, right?
Yeah.
Hmm.
And if they can communicate with understanding, because I always say, people say understanding is the key, comprehension is the key, understanding is the base.
Mhm.
Because
Okay.
you can understand, but you still won't be able to comprehend, right?
Yeah.
So comprehension is the key,
Hmm.
understanding is the base, because
Because
yeah,
you can understand and still
you
not
can
change your action.
exactly, like you hear
Okay.
me,
Yeah.
you understand me, but are
Mhm.
you hearing me?
Yeah.
Right.
And it's
Right.
like, so that's really important to have. But what Ross said is definitely dead on. But also, if you want to go a little deeper, just get somebody who's not connected to none of y'all, not even the children, just so he
Yeah.
he or she can see the whole aspect. Because it's very important to understand how you and that person communicate, but then also understand how the child communicates with both of y'all in the same room. Because sometimes a child can communicate with their father differently than they do their mother in two different
Yeah.
spaces, but in
Hmm.
the same space is
Yes.
different because now both of y'all are there. Because
Yeah.
I've learned, even with my children's father, that our children have has acted us out, and I did not like it. Right, and
Hmm.
they would yell and scream and fuss at each other, and I'm like, and then the moment I say, I'm mommy, I'm daddy, I'm like, oh, that's how they see us. Okay.
Right.
No, we not do. And that's helped me too. Just read in the room, right? Just
Yeah.
understanding like, okay, this is what I've modeled and I don't like it. And sometimes just seeing yourself from somebody else's perspective helps a
Yeah.
lot too. It's gonna make you uncomfortable,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's understanding like, oh, this is how I come off to their person. Like I said, before, you're not going to always like you from somebody else's perspective, but it's
Hmm.
important. It's important to know how you come off so that you will know how to fix it, right? Because how often do we get mad at somebody and that person don't even realize what they've done, but we mad because we know what they done. But it's
Hmm.
like, but we have a problem with them and they don't even know what the problem is because we didn't bring it to their attention. Right.
Yeah. That is actually an incredible exercise that would be very humbling to a lot of us. If we
Hmm.
were to ask the children, hey, act out, how do you see or how do you perceive
Yep.
me, your
A
dad?
lot of
Yeah.
hurt feelings.
I
I
don't,
think that's something also we can benefit from being in marriages, couples, or co-parenting is
Mm-hmm.
sitting down with people who we respect their dynamic,
Mm-hmm.
especially elders,
Yeah.
and just
yeah,
asking them questions and just telling them some things we discuss and go through and like, what is this sound crazy to y'all? Is this what y'all used
Mm-hmm.
to do in y'all
right.
20s? I think it'll help everybody.
Yeah.
Uncomfortable conversations matter. And
Yeah.
also, what can help you give the icebreaker, right, is writing down some questions that you may
Hmm.
want to add so that you're not rambling, but you can center yourself. Like when you feel yourself rambling, you come back like, hold on, wait, I got this question. This is what I'm trying to do. Just so you can start feeling comfortable before you start freestyling. Because, like I said, sometimes we get in a room with somebody and we've done rehearsed what we want to say, but then the moment we see that person, it's like, oh yeah, I got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you forgot,
I've been waiting on
you
this.
got it. Yeah, but you got it. So,
I love it. Well, this has been fruitful, abundant, nutritious,
Absolutely.
all the things. I really appreciate you coming today, sharing
Yes.
your insight, sharing your gifts, sharing your life, your children, like what you do with us. This episode was powerful. This is definitely one of the ones that linger.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I'm grateful. I'm excited for people to see this one. They gonna love this.
It is definitely needed.
absolutely. I appreciate you. I definitely do. Talking with y'all, getting to understand y'all. I love what you got going. Please keep up the good work. We definitely need this for sure. And I wish y'all longevity with whatever y'all do.
For
Thank
sure.
you so much.
Mhm.
Oh, real quick, where can we find you? Where are your books sold? We kind of were talking about that.
Oh, okay, so you could go to www.queendomheals. That's KQweenHealz.com. It's all one word. When you go to that website, it tells you my mission, my vision. It breaks down what each book is about, and it also will tell you about my podcast, and it also will tell you the upcoming books that I have coming. I
Perfect.
touch on homeschooling, I touch on adoption, I touch on grief, I touch on women who have breaking points, and I
Mhm.
also touch on co-parenting as well.
Okay.
So those are the books that are coming. Um, Also, you can find me on Facebook. Authoress Queen Modest on Facebook, Queendom Heals on IG, and
Mhm.
TikTok, I believe, is Queen Modest as well. I'm still learning. I believe it's Queen Modest as well, though. And it's still spelled KQween. But if you go to my website, my social handles are on there for sure, just so you can
Gotcha.
find me if I didn't say it correctly. Also, my the coolest thing about my website right now is it moves like a book. So when you
Ooh.
go to it, There's like three lives in the top right hand corner, and you
Mhm.
push it, and a pages drop down like a index, and you can
Mhm.
just
Mm.
which one you want to look at. So that's the cool thing about my website. It reflects my books. I like it, and
All
I
right,
do
website.
everything myself. Yeah.
I love that.
That's amazing.
Oh yes,
My
ma'am.
goodness.
Yes,
Thank you
sir.
so much for sharing your gifts with us. We're really just honored to have you in our spaces.
Absolutely. I appreciate y'all having me for sure. It was a great conversation. I enjoy y'all. I really do.
Oh, we family now. Don't
Oh,
tell them you got more
absolutely.
cousins.
If you
Oh
need me
yeah.
to
We
come
family now.
Yeah,
on,
we going to
absolutely.
Jamaica.
Yeah, yeah. That's all
Get us some accents. We want one
Yes.
now.
You're
Exactly.
I need a bus though. We need a whole bus.
Oh, well, yeah, we do. We got a
Yeah, we
big
do.
tribe, big football team, all of us
But
together.
hey, that's what
Right
we need. We
there.
need community, man. We
That's
made our own
it.
community.
That's it. Absolutely.
All
Okay.
right, so thank all y'all at home for sitting in, watching all of this. Make sure y'all do your research. Make sure y'all have any conversations. Make
Hmm.
sure you're writing. I am Good Life Russ.
I am Chloe Simone. It's definitely been a real one this episode. We'll see you soon.
Peace, everybody.